Welcome once again as we look back at Game 1 of the second round playoffs matchup between the Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics. But first I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel if you have not, so we can continue to bring you more sports updates and news. Thanks and God bless as you do. Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors played out their first game of the second round playoff series and it all went in favor of the Celtics as they beat the Raptors by a margin of 18 points to take Game 1. As anticipated series openers go, this one was a dud. The Raptors and Celtics entered the Eastern Conference semifinals white hot. Boston was the only one that stayed that way, beating Toronto 112-94 in Sunday's Game 1. The Celtics led wire to wire, building a 19-point first-half lead that Toronto couldn't recover from. Jason Tatum, 21 points, and Marcus Smart, 21 points, led the way, being two of six Boston players who scored in double figures. On August 7, the Celtics shellacked the Raptors by 22 points. They nearly matched that on Sunday. What happened to Toronto? The Raptors have a history of playing poorly in Game 1s, but this was ugly. The vaunted Toronto defense was shredded in this one. Boston shot 47% from the floor and 43.6% from three. Corner threes were a huge problem for the Raptors. Boston's drive and kick offense found wide-open shooters in the corners. With Tatum, Smart, Jaylen Brown and Brad Wanamaker knocking them. Toronto couldn't get anything of their own going from behind the arc, finishing shooting 25%. The smaller Celtics out-rebounded the Raptors, 50-40, and matched them in points in the paint with 38. Boston's center rotation of Daniel Theis and Robert Williams provided 23 points and 20 rebounds. The Raptors were totally let down by the three players they rely on most. While all three of Kyle Lowry, Fred Van-Vleet, and Pascal Siakam eventually got their stat lines into semi-respectable shape, there was no hiding their misfires. Lowry managed to finish the afternoon with 17 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds, but hit only one three and looked for long stretches like a man determined to spin himself into nausea. The good Lowry knows how to ride the fickle wind of a basketball game to his advantage. The bad Lowry wrestles with everything, the other team. The refs, his teammates, himself. While he tried his best to make Game 1 competitive, Lowry just did not have it this afternoon against Boston. Same goes for Van-Vleet and Siakam, perhaps the future cornerstones of Toronto. Siakam scored the team's first bucket, following through with an and one to break an early drought. Then he went without another made field goal until the third quarter. True, Paskal earning 3 quick fouls in that opening frame didn't help. But he couldn't get much else going when he was on the court. For the game, Siakam finished with 13 points on 5 of 16, with 0 made threes. While his Boston forward counterparts were running this way and that, Siakam went back to the same few moves, looking more and more stuck as he went along. It was tough to watch. Don't worry, we didn't forget about Van-Vleet. After seemingly single-handedly decimating the Nets, Van-Vleet couldn't find the bottom of the net, period. He was 3 of 16 on the afternoon, including an ice-cold 2 of 11 from 3, which got him to 11 points along with 8 assists. He did have 6 steals, but most of them came after it was clear to the Celtics they weren't going to have to work too hard in this one. By the time of the final buzzer, Ibaka had climbed up to 15 points. OG Anunoby had a neat 12 and 7, Norman Powell made it to 10, and Gasol had chipped in 7. Everything fell into place, such as it was, after that. With the Raptors shooting 37% from the field and an impossible 10 for 40 from 3, 25%. Boston, meanwhile, just kept having their way. Nick Nurse has pushed back on the concern about Siakam, but after an uneven stretch of seeding games and a first round with only one game shooting above 43%, there has to be some concern. The All-Star forward submitted another clunker, a foul-filled 13-point, on 5-16 shooting effort. The Raptors played through Siakam in the post, but Boston's string of sturdy wing defenders, Smart, Brown and Semi Ojeleye, forced Siakam into tough shots. Nurse has said it, Toronto needs Siakam to be a shot maker. He'll have to do it against a Celtics team that plays excellent perimeter defense. Kemba Walsh, The Boston bench collectively gasped when Kemba Walker came up favoring his left leg after twisting it defending a drive by Siakam. Walker's knee problems date back to February, when he missed time after the All-Star break. They lingered throughout the hiatus, with the Celtics keeping Walker on a minutes restriction during the seeding games. Walker shook off the injury, started the second half and finished with 18 points. But that knee has been troublesome. It's worth watching how Walker responds before Tuesday's Game 2. How do you see Game 2 between the Celtics and Raptors playing out? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And hit the subscribe and like buttons to stay updated with more news and updates from around the NBA.